My first colleague who's going to be coming up is Pete Wolt. He is the AD PEO for UNW for Unmanned Systems and Weapons Systems, and he is the Science and Technology Portfolio Manager, and that's a big title. So, Pete Wolt.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I think it still is morning, right? So, I want to thank Susan and the whole SB gang for inviting us here. So, before I start, personal goal achieved. I am the guy with the longest title of a speaker at a conference. You know what they say about guys with long titles, they don't do anything, right? So, but really what that is saying, I'm kind of double-hatted. So I've got one foot in the PEO camp, that's PEO UNW, that's the Unmanned Systems and Strike Weapons. My other foot is kind of on what Donna described the 4O side in the Chief Technology Office. So that is it's a unique place to be because I get to act as kind of that bridge between the 500-pound brain out doing the research, right, working with you guys as TPOCs, and the program side, the program of record side. So with that, that's kind of where I sit in the scheme of things. All right, here's my portfolio. This is the wheel chart that we do. As you can see, on the weapons side, we've got pretty much all of the air-to-ground weapons that the Navy owns with, in addition to Tomahawk there in 280. So I've actually got a counterpart for that, for the W side of UNW, Mike Wagaman. He couldn't make it today, but in my portfolio, you can see there's quite a lot going on in the unmanned realm. That's a kind of new area for the Navy, getting into things. You see 262 has the MQ-4 Triton. 263 has kind of all our Group 1s and 2s, the small guys, Wasp, Ravens, Scan Eagles, and the new RQ-21 Blackjack. 266, really that's more of the rotary wing platforms that are going off our air-capable ships. That's 266. And then 268, if you saw a year or two ago that we had our pretty successful, finally, our successful X-47 demo where we launched and recovered off of a carrier with a tailless unmanned system, so that was pretty good. We also did an air-to-air refueling demonstration after that, so pretty successful. That set the foundation for what is being called the MQ-25, and something I had to delete off the slide there. The unofficial name of that platform is most likely going to be Stingray, but it's not official, so I couldn't put it on the slide yet. But that's what's come down the pipe there. So that's my portfolio. So anything technology associated with unmanned systems, that's what I do. All right, before I get into the actual topics that are coming out in this next solicitation, I want to kind of just hit a couple of high points of things that might be coming up in the future, really headaches for us in UNW that we might have some things working on, but we're just not making enough technical progress on them, right? So first stuff is alternate PNT capabilities, right? We've really built our systems around GPS, and there's a lot of things that provides for us with regards to not only, you know, navigation and location, but also timing, that if it's not there, we've got some issues. So that's one area that we're looking for some help there, really across the board. Kind of skipping down to the bottom here, supporting over-the-horizon operations with unmanned systems. Whether we're doing ASW off of LCS, right? There's in addition to those ASW sensors and that information, there's a lot of things that come along with that, and a lot of things that are often overlooked. First off is that sense and avoid problem, right? We need to be able to make sure that when we launch that UAS over the horizon, that it's not going to hit anything else, right? So we get around that kind of today, either with ground-based radars if we're flying, you know, CONUS or OCONUS over land, right? Or with ship-based radars. But the thing is today we cannot go beyond that horizon because that ship-based radar doesn't go that far. So that is a big one for us. Also, one issue that we've got some things working, but it is a big problem for us, is in situ detection of ice in the flight path of a UAV. We've actually lost one fire scout to this problem and almost lost another. The problem is, by the time the operator gets information that, hey, your blades are icing up, right, it's too late, and that thing went in the drink. So we want to be able to look out, you know, ideally 20 miles, but as far as we can in a flight path and determine if there are icing conditions, right? And this would apply not to just Fire Scout, but other UASs too. But so a couple there. Next slide, please. All right, I won't go through all these, obviously, but just want to let you guys, something that I'm kind of getting a wind of change feel about is the way that we, upper level leadership and others are looking at unmanned systems. Kind of gotten the feel that Fire Scout, for instance, that was, it's a sensor in the sky that you send out by itself, you get the information back, it's good, right? Well, I'm seeing kind of a change to more of a collaborative way of looking at unmanned systems, right? I'm talking about manned-unmanned teaming or unmanned-unmanned teaming, right? Truly using these unmanned systems as an adjunct to our manned platforms, right? We've already seen some of this. I mean, to be honest, the Army's way ahead of the Navy in the way they do this and have integrated their unmanned systems in with their manned helicopters. The Fire Scout recently, in the past couple of weeks, I saw an article that we got it out there with the fleet guys, and they're actually doing buddy lasing with it. So this is, I think this is going to be the way that we go. Instead of looking at them just as one platform by itself, it's going to be a true systems of systems, right? Unmanned and manned, acting and working together to accomplish the mission. So with that, right, the manned-unmanned teaming piece, there's other things that come with that. You need to be able to communicate, right? Whether you're talking man-to-man, man-to-man, man-to-unmanned, or machine-to-machine, right? Or weapon-to-weapon. Net-enabled weapons is a key enabler for a lot of what we want to do. Fire and forget rockets, a little more on this in a little bit. And then the multi-vehicle and the multi-sensor planning and control. If there are, how do you do that for systems of systems? Today, it's really locked into the platform, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a little bit when we get into the topics. But so these are some things you might see coming up in the next solicitations over the next, I don't know, couple years or so. But they will change as our platform priorities change and the threats change, to be honest. So, all right, getting into the solicitation topics. First up is the novel high-energy density fuels development. So we're always looking at ways to increase our platform's capability. In this case, it's weapons range, right? So what we're looking for, specifically PMA 201 and PMA 280, right? If we could find an alternative fuel to the JP10 that we use, right, that gives us a 10% more increase in energy density, that would be great. Sounds easy, but your hexamethyl chicken wire, right, it has to have the right flash points, the right viscosities, right, flame temps, all those types of things that will enable a switch out with limited tweaks to the weapon, right? So that's what we're looking at there. Next, advanced human-machine interface for dynamic sensor control. As we get these unmanned systems out there, we're starting to get more and more sensors on there. In addition to EOIR, LADAR, radar, right, you name it. It's getting more and more difficult to, how do you let the operator know what he needs to be doing at that particular time? So it's part resource management, and it's part communicating that back to the actual operator, right? What he needs to do, and even think of predictive type of things, right? In X time you should be doing this, in Y minutes you need to be doing that. So that's kind of what we're looking for, and this would actually transition to our common control system at a PMA 281 primarily. But 266 is the sponsor for this particular one, and it's associated with their radar system that's going to be coming online here shortly. So that's that one. All right. This is my favorite one, actually. So accurate sensing of low-speed vehicle motion relative to a moving platform. Sounds easy, right? Not really. Not when you're talking about a unmanned system on the deck of a carrier that, oh, by the way, is also moving, right? So this is something through the course of the UCASD program that the prime vendor and vendors, right, identified man, we need help doing this, right? So we want to be able to tell when that unmanned system is moving relative to the deck, if it's skidding, if it's moving when it shouldn't be, so on and so forth. So that's what we're looking for there. Next up, guided rocket inductive link. So this kind of ties back to that fire and forget rocket capability need that I had on the previous slide. So right now we don't have the ability to basically program any logic into these, I call them dumb rounds, but the 275 rockets that you see the launchers for there, we can only supply power, I believe, but we can't convey any target information or any fusing information, right? So what we're looking for is a way to be able to get that information into the brains of that weapon. And this sounds easy, right? Well, when that thing fires, there's all kinds of rocket motor soot and nasty stuff, right? So it's got to be really reliable and really durable, stand up to corrosive and hot environments. So I think this is going to be hard, but I think it's a great topic for small business. This is out of 242. So transition of mission planning software to a next generation component-based open architecture using advanced refactoring technologies. I'm a chemical engineer. I had to look up what is refactoring. So I put the definition up there, but you can't read it. Basically what it is looking at your software code as I understand it, and being able to basically repackage that code so it's it's better, I would say, from a software functionality standpoint. So that's what they want to do, is take this legacy JUMP, which is the Joint Mission Planning System code, and basically refactor that legacy code to be able to keep the goodness, right, the capability-wise that's in that code, and add some, but do it in a open architecture approach, and also bring in the ability to do some multi-vehicle and multi-sensor planning, hence the capability need I had on that previous slide there. So right now we can't do that with jumps. Jumps is, I'd say, it's pretty tied between the mission planning piece is tied to the platform it's doing the mission planning for. And it's very, very difficult to do multi-vehicle planning in that systems of systems kind of concept that I've been talking about. So that'll be a good one. 281's a good shop to work with too. All right, I think this is my last one. It's our only STTR for UNW, but mitigation or prevention of aging effects in hydrocarbon missile fuels. So we're in Boston, right? So everybody winterized their lawnmowers already, right? If you didn't winterize your lawnmower, you go to pull it out next spring and what? It won't start. Well, imagine if that lawnmower was sitting for 15 years, right? Which some of our weapon systems do sit in their vertical launch systems, right? We're having issues, or we're seeing issues where this JP10 fuel will actually oxidize over time, leaving particulates, all kinds of gummy stuff, you know, like your lawnmower, right? But that's 15 years. So when we get those weapons out and they come in for their checkup, right, we're seeing this problem that can really make the propulsion system not operate. So the way we're getting around it is blending old gas with new gas, basically. But what we're looking for is a way to recondition that fuel, right? When we bring them back to the depots for their checkup, can we recondition that fuel to make it as new, right, to put it back in? JP10 is very costly. And to be honest, there's a lot of it out there that needs to be reconditioned. So I think that would be that's a great STTR for small business and academia. So I have put the TPOC's contact information up there. It's probably in the solicitation too. But one thing before I get the hook here, I want to mention within UNW some of the outreach that we're doing for small business. Every April for the past, how long have we done? 2-3 years, I think. We host what's called an Idea Day. It's basically an opportunity for us to communicate with you guys, kind of what I did here, but a little more in depth. You know, our needs, our current portfolios, what we're working, what we aren't working, what we don't need to be working. So we actually bring in the PMA reps to brief brief all you. Admiral Dara was there and kind of kicks it off. But in addition to small businesses, we have the primes. A lot of the big primes come in, the Northrops, the Boeings, so on and so forth. So it's kind of our attempt to, as Donna hinted to early, getting the small business tied with that prime or that OEM as soon as possible. So actually have a meeting next week to brainstorm how we can make it even better. Just spoiler, I think we're going to draw it out to be a multi-day event instead of just trying to pack it all in with one day down there in Southern Maryland. I think we're going to draw it out to 2 or 3 days and have some perhaps one-on-one matchmaking with the large vendors, and kind of like doing here, but very similar. So just keep an eye on that. The way that works after Idea Day, which should be advertised in Fed Bid Ops, so you can keep an eye out for that April timeframe. We give you the opportunity to submit a white paper that is due 30 days after that Idea Day. And what we do is go back and look at those, and basically, based on the technology or the capability that you put in your white paper, we farm those out to the PMAs. Hey, do you want to follow up even more? And if that is a thumbs up, we'll schedule a one-on-one with you and the advanced technology lead within the PMA. So that might change. I don't know. We'll see. A variant of it. But just wanted you to be aware of that. So keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll see you down in Southern Maryland this spring. So that's all I got.